I consider myself a documentary photographer, and normally I prefer to do long-term project and feature. Reverse Seae project is actually a project that I started with the support of the WordPress for the Foundation, and actually is a story about the Mediterranean Sea, or to say better, on the other side of the Mediterranean Sea, so it means mainly the African coast, not the European one. Well, the idea of the project actually started because of the revolution that was happening in Northern Africa, and I was wondering myself what would be the result of this revolt on Europe, and what was the role of the Mediterranean Sea in this revolt, and what is the role of Mediterranean Sea nowadays. I mean, it's a small sea that has been forgotten for many years, in the sense of it didn't have any economical values, but it had a long history. And so I was wondering what was the role of this sea dividing these two continents mainly. When I first started this project, actually, I think that I was already in Tunisia, at the border with Libya, when the revolt started in Libya, and war in Libya was at the beginning. So actually, well, the idea of the project actually started as the most common news photography, I will say. But then, of course, I mean, news is not exactly my favorite subject, so I decided to develop a little bit. And of course, I'm still following what's happening in that area, and in that area I mean all the region going from Gibraltar Strait till Dardanelles Strait. But I'm trying to develop the project mainly in three chapters that are calling Origin, Crossing, and Connecting. So there will be different story for each chapter. Origin, of course, it will be a sort of road trip along the coast of the Mediterranean Sea, the African side. Connecting actually is the three connecting point between the continents, so it means Suez Canal, Dardanelles Canal, and Gibraltar Strait. And well, crossing or meeting point is actually going to be three different stories about crossing this sea. Those stories, it could be historical crossing, or economical crossing, or contemporary social crossing like immigration. I think the most interesting thing is that I'm trying to elaborate a way of photograph this project and this subject with different kind of photography. So, for example, when I was in Libya, I was mainly covering the war. So mainly you have some sort of news photography, even if it's made not in 35 millimeters, but I normally shoot with 6-7 medium format camera. But at the same time, for example, when I've been to Lampedusa and I was working there for the problem of immigration, I decided instead of doing news pictures, I choose to make a series of still life of objects that an association found on the boat of the immigrant reaching Lampedusa. So they collected all these objects that they found during many years of immigration in Lampedusa. I set a little studio in a small office in Lampedusa, and I spent like 3 days taking pictures of these objects. Lampedusa is actually one of the entry gate of Europe, I will say. So actually immigrants from Northern Africa, or at least living from Northern Africa, they travel on small boat and they cross the Mediterranean and they reach Lampedusa, that is this island in southern Sicily in Italy. So of course there's been a lot of pictures covering this situation and these events, this sort of events. And so this is also probably why I decided to do it in a slightly different way and choosing to take pictures of still life, of object, of these people arriving, because, well, I mean, I had the impression that these objects represent the travel themselves, because they are not allowed, for example, to bring any luggage, so they bring as less as possible. So generally what they bring is something to drink, something to eat, something to pray most of the time, and probably something to remember. I would like to say it's like picture of the families, or letter, or something like this. So this is the object that I found, and this is the object that I photographed. Then there is the pictures of the war in Libya and the aftermath of the war in Libya. There is a series of Egypt after, well, waiting for the election that actually has happened just recently. There is a story on the Dardanelles Strait, and it's more an historical stories, because it's like it starts from landscape pictures of the site where there was one of the biggest naval battle during the First World War. And there's pictures of the site, Roman Empire site in Turkey. I thought that the Mediterranean has been really important for centuries. It was always a sort of contact and dividing area between different continents, actually between three continents, Asia, Africa, and Europe. And so I tried to find examples and story that could give an idea of the importance of these sea. I will continue the project along the Northern Africa, and probably I will move a little bit into the Middle East. But really, it's complicated to say it now, and I think especially when I personally work on a project, long-term project, I know where I start, but I don't know where I'm going to finish, when I'm going to lead at the end.